How have things gone since things tightened up in terms of where you're at and where you want to be?
In terms of,
How are things going in terms of the last start and where you are versus where you want to be?
yeah, in a good spot. Looking forward to, getting ready for tomorrow and, just keeping things one day at a time. Making sure that we make the adjustments that are necessary. After game one, especially learning after the last time with, how the NLCS went and just trying to make some adjustments.
What does that mean for you specifically?
Just sticking to what we do and being able to make sure that we don't try to do too much and make sure that we can slow the game down a little bit and just make sure we take things one pitch at a time. Take that same mindset from the first game and go into it, but be able to make adjustments on the fly.
Second row on your right, Jack. Fabian?
Yeah, David said that your hamstring had kind of tightened up on you a little bit over the course of that start. Is that something you had to be extra mindful of during this week? And is there anything that you feel like is inhibiting you to?
No, I mean, it's caused a little bit of extra work that I normally wouldn't have to do. But I'm good, feeling good today. I felt good yesterday. I found my bullpen. So at this point, it's not anything I'm worried about.
Obviously, over the years, you competed against the Dodgers for a while. Was there anything that when you got here that maybe surprised you, that stood out to you immediately, just walking that clubhouse or just being around it every single day?
No, nothing really. I think, people like to make it seem like it wasn't the most close-knit group and that it was just, maybe not as tight as some other clubhouses and locker rooms. And from the outside looking in, that just never seemed like the case. It seemed like they were all in it together and the way they went about their business. And you could see like from an approach standpoint as a team and the way they seemed to have each other's backs and the way it always seemed that, as the game got later on, I had a handful of them just watching from the other side as we got later into the game and starter came out. If they were down, they found a way to rally and they were never out of it. So that's a sign of a team that's together. And so that's the way that it's been since I walked in, day one in San Diego and all throughout up until this point.
Stand your right with Tyler in the fourth row.
Jack, when you look at the Dodgers now, I mean, the additions they made at the deadline, yourself and Edman and Kopech have just been huge. Can you just sort of tell me a little bit about the impact that you've seen the three of you guys make on this team down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, try not to make things too big, at least for myself. When I came over here, my job was to go out and try to win some ball games, give the team a chance to win every time I went out. And then, it was going to be a matter of time once Tommy got healthy that, I've seen it. I got to play with that guy for a handful of years, watch what he did when he came up in 19 and he's in 2019 and is starting playoff games for us. So for me, I'm not surprised at what he's done. I think it's awesome to see him continue to do what he's do after dealing with some injuries the last couple of years. And just because the guy is injured for a little bit doesn't mean that he hasn't stopped working or that talent has gone away. And Tommy is somebody that has worked continuously hard over and over again. And then I've known Kopech for a long time, same high school class. It's been awesome to see what he's been able to do. That guy is he's gone through a lot away from the field. And then what he was able to do coming over here and not trying to do too much and embracing his role in the pen and pitching some really big innings has been, nothing short of sensational. So all those guys have been great. And then everybody that has stepped up. And then, you look at, Walker too, what he's been able to do once he came back and got through a couple of those, bumps and bruises, and what he's been able to do on this little stretch has been, that's Walker. They try to say turn back the clock on what he did, and but for me, just guys had two TJs, and he's going to go out and he's going to give you everything he's got no matter what. So it's been fun to be a part of it.
Go five rows back on your left with Matt.
Hey, Jack, there have been a number of moments with the Dodgers specifically where things could have gone terribly wrong, whether it's injuries or other things like that. What do you think has allowed you guys to always end up seemingly on the right side of those inflection points?
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. We're down 2-1 to San Diego. This isn't to say this thing's over with. We still got a long ways to go. This series is far from over. a really good team over there. But this team has been a bunch of fighters, and Doc's done a really good job of keeping us all together, no matter who's gone down or what the road may be. But this team has come together and has just really played for each other, and I think that's the simplest thing.
Jack in the second row to your left.
When you guys talk about like the clubhouse culture, how much of that starts with Mookie and Freddie and Shohei? And when you look at three guys as big of stars as they are, like, what do you think allows them to coexist as well as they have in this group and kind of be leaders in that room?
I mean, they're selfless individuals. That's who they are. That's who they've always been. They are some of the top guys in the sport and have been for a long time. You got multiple MVPs there. Probably guys could have had a couple more, but they show up and they work, and I think that's the thing that you can take from those guys, and it just carries over to everybody else. At least for myself, when you see them show up and you see what Freddie's gone through, with his ankle injury and how early he's getting there, and the time he's taken away from his family, especially with what has gone on this year, it just makes everybody want to jump on board. So, credit to those guys, credit to everybody in there, from Muntz and Kirsch and Kike. You could go up and down the team, and everybody has played a role.
About 7 rows back on your right.
Hey, Jack. I just wanted to get your take on the fact that you guys are up 3-0 against a pretty good team in the Yankees, more than just a pretty good team. Are you kind of surprised that it's kind of, you're one game away from sweeping, that you're at this point in the series? Did you expect the series to play out this way?
I'm not worried about how I expected the series to play out. I'm just more worried about getting one more, and we know that we got to continue to play really good baseball in order to get that done, because those guys aren't going to go away quietly. They're going to, you can see it from the end there. The last inning, Verdugo puts together a really good at-bat, and Glaber puts together a really good at-bat. So I'm not worried about how it's gone up to this point. I'm just worried about, us trying to get one more.
A third row in the center aisle, Jack.
What the last 3 months have you learned about Freddie the person that you didn't know about him as Freddie the player, watching him from across the diamond?
That's a good question. I've had heard good things about him, knowing Max Fried really well and them playing together, and he just talked about how awesome Freddie was, and that may sound like a very simple description for it, but like, he really is just one of those guys that is been unbelievable to be around, sit down, talk to, just even if it's not baseball, just anything else that goes on. And he's a good dude, and I kind of assumed that playing against him and hearing everything that Max had to say about him, and just one of the guys, and somebody that loves this game and really enjoys it and shows up every day.
What are some of the non-baseball things you never expected to talk about that you heard about with him?
I keep that between me and him, but it's been fun to be around him.
Other questions for Jack? We'll go to Kirsten. She's standing back.
Jack, just quickly, I know when it comes to the hitting side of the game, they often say like just hitting is contagious, but the rotation in this series, how have you all, just whether it's been building off of each other, conversations you all had amongst each other? Because I think just externally that was maybe the question mark, the starting rotation going into this one, and you all have been absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I think pitching can be contagious too, and whether or not it started with Walker's start in Game 3 against San Diego, where things happened that inning the way that they happened, but we thought he threw the ball really, really well, and then you look to the next day and what the bullpen did. And from there, what they were able to do in that game, and then you look to Yama and what he did, and just kind of carrying over. You just want to pick up after the next guy, and then if somebody has a rough night, then the next guy's going to pick you up, and that goes for everything in this game. Somebody doesn't get a job done at the plate, next guy's going to pick him up. Bullpen guy leaves a couple guys on, or starter, we come out of the game with runners on, next guy coming in is going to pick us up. And so it's been one after the other in terms of that, and it's also been just picking the last guy up. So it's something we got to continue to do, and we still got a lot of work to do.
We'll finish up in the third row on your left with Mike.
Hey, Jack, is it weird or awkward at all preparing to pitch a Game 5 while hoping like heck you don't have to pitch a Game 5?
No, I'm not. I'm worried about our guys going out and taking care of business today, and my job is to get ready for tomorrow. So I'm just I got to focus on what I got to do to get ready for tomorrow and root these guys on tonight. And, so I got to keep my mindset right there.
Gavin, obviously, when you look at what last year looked like, preparing yourself from this year, you obviously dealt with injuries and things like that. But just to be in this situation right now, you're one win away from winning the World Series. Just what has that meant to you on a high level, but also just the success that you've been having personally just throughout this postseason?
I think, having it taken away for a whole year, it makes you appreciate the game definitely a little more. The ups and downs, everything. I would have given anything to just be able to play last year, and I think you definitely appreciate it more. But we still got to win one more game, so it's nothing's over till it's over, and it's a good team over there. So we got to finish things out, and it's not done yet. So we just got to keep going.
About the fifth row in the corner, Barry.
Gavin, what is it like to play for an organization that when you report to spring training, basically the only acceptable outcome is winning the whole thing?
Yeah, I think, it's huge. Not everybody gets an opportunity to play in the postseason, and kind of, with us, at least every year I've been here, we've been in the postseason, and it's expected, like you said, which is a good thing. It means, you got a lot of good people running the org that care about winning and want to win, and then obviously the guys in the clubhouse want to win and are winning. So, this is what everybody wants to play for right here. So not everybody gets that opportunity. So you definitely don't take that for granted either.
Fabian, second row on your right.
Yeah, Gavin, you were taxi squad in 2020 and obviously been around for some of these postseason runs. I mean, what would a chance at a parade mean for you? And do you feel like to the city just having been around enough? Yeah,
I think not having that, the fans really getting to enjoy it during the COVID year, obviously, and not having that kind of, sucks. But hopefully we can just get rid of the whole short season thing. People not counting it, get that taste out of our mouth. But like I said, still, we got to win one more game, and that's the main thing. Is you just take it pitch by pitch, and it's not over till it's over, like I keep saying. So, we're not letting our foot off the gas pedal here, and we just got to keep playing our game.
How much has that short season thing been something that you guys have been conscious about, and how difficult has that been the last few years, maybe to like block out in a sense?
Yeah, I think it kind of bugs everybody. We were all in the same situation, and we still won that year, and we were all in the same boat doing the same thing. So, I personally don't think that's the right narrative, but I think it kind of bugs everybody a little bit that you don't get the recognition that team that year deserved, and if anything, I thought it was probably harder to win that year. So. You want the full season one though, and then just to get that whole narrative out of the window.
Third row in the left center, Clinton.
Gavin, could you tell us about your relationship with Mookie in terms of position-wise and as a leader in the clubhouse and what you've learned from him, not just over the years, but this year specifically in terms of everything you guys have had to do together?
Yeah, I mean, this guy just wants to win. He'll do anything. He gets thrown in at shortstop in spring training, doesn't complain about it. I was out there working hard early every single day to try to get better, and just watching him, how he goes about his work every day, and he's in the cage for hours before the game, and he's out every day doing his early work defense. Like he doesn't take a day off, and the main thing that I've watched him and learned from is this, his work ethic is just relentless. He's one of the best players in baseball, and he doesn't take a single day off, and I think that's why he's so great, and that's what makes him different from everybody else. And obviously he's super talented, but he's a big leader in our clubhouse. He's vocal, and he works his ass off. So when you got a guy that's that talented that is doing that every day, it kind of rubs off on everybody else.
Stay there with Jack.
For as frustrating as the last couple postseasons were, how much do you think just those struggles have kind of helped you guys build the culture and play with the kind of intensity you have this month?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that I feel like is different from the years past is the intensity and to compete every single pitch and to not giving that bat away or a pitch away. And not that to say we did in the years past, but it just the intensity, every single pitch, every single inning feels different this year than it did in years past. And I think that's just the guys we have in the clubhouse, and like you said, we kind of learned from our past mistakes, and like this year where we spent pretty much every day together, and for these last 3-4 weeks, I think that's made a big difference, and we're all pulling the same direction, so let's get together, and then when you're close with these guys in the clubhouse, it just makes pulling for each other that much easier.
there aren't many teams that have as much star power in the clubhouse as you guys do, especially like with Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei. Like, how have you seen those three kind of coexist this year, and what's allowed them to, have that kind of level of talent in there and star level, and also still kind of build what you guys have talked about in that room?
Yeah, none of them have egos. I think, all three of those guys just want to win at the end of the day and know that our ultimate team goal is to win a World Series. So, all three of them are obviously three of the best players in baseball. That's not a secret, but at the same time, there's no ego. There's a lot of selfishness and, just want to win. And you see it with Freddie, obviously Shohei. These guys are playing, with broken bones and needing surgery and still putting their bodies on the line every day. And that just shows you that, these guys are selfless superstars that they just want to win. And I think that's what makes part of the reason why that makes us special.
One row behind to your left, Mike.
Gavin, when you got moved off a shortstop in spring training, what was that initial sting like, and how did you prevent that from being a pretty big mental blow?
Yeah, I think initially, it sucked. Coming off the ACL surgery, I expected myself to be a lot better and more prepared to play the position. And, just it didn't happen and it didn't work out. And, initially I was, it stunk. But, there's my view of it was there's no time to sit and sulk around. Like, let's go put the best second base possible and pour into second base and just try to get better there. And, Woody and Dino and Miggy and a lot of other guys just, helped me along the way and poured into me. And, just watching Mookie every day get out at short makes you want to get out and work every day too. So initially it sucked, but at the same time, there's no reason to sit around and sulk. What's done was done, and let's just move on and try to get better.
2 rows behind, Matt.
Gavin, setting aside the fact that you guys still have one win to go, up until this point, you guys, there have been a number of times throughout the season where things could have gone terribly wrong. I mean, the experiment of putting Mookie at short, as you guys just talked about, to all the injuries, to being down to the Padres 2-1 in the division series. How have you guys been able to make that happen? Have everything turn out the way you want it when they all could have gone wrong?
I think ultimately it's probably only helped us because throughout the whole season with all the injuries we've had to deal with, other guys have had to step up and, have more responsibility to try to help us win games. So I think, dealing with all that, we've had other guys step up and ultimately at this time of the year, we're still banged up. Guys are beat up. We're missing guys. But, I think just going through that has made us a better group. Just like I said, everybody's had to step up a little bit. And, this group, no one cares who gets it done as long as it gets done. And, I think that helps us a lot. But, yeah, we went through some struggles where it felt like, this might not be where we want to be. But, it all kind of worked out.
A couple more. Kirsten, second row on your right.
Just looking at today's matchup against Luis Teal, what did you see from him over the summer? You guys saw him in Game 3 of that series here at Yankee Stadium, and what can you take from those at-bats just to kind of put it into this one and put him into play? Yeah,
he's got really good stuff. Throws hard. He's got a good 3-pitch mix, really good fastball. So, it's not the usual Game 4 starter you usually kind of run into. So, he's really good. So we we game plan obviously really well, but don't want to give away any secrets. But yeah, he's got good stuff, and I think when you get a chance to see a guy a couple times, it always helps a little bit. Try to feel him out, know how he feels in the batter's box, but he's got good stuff. So we got our hands full, and we just got to keep competing like we have been.
First of all, Skipper Jim Hill, KKL 9 News. What is your level of anxiety and or anxiousness as you're so close but still so far away?
Definitely not anxiety. I think, excited to get the game going. Guys have a good look, great preparation, and I like where we're at. So excited to get going.
We'll stay there on the corner.
Hey, Dave, Crystal Rich. I believe it was the NLCS that you said you believe in this group of guys more so than any one that you've managed before. With that feeling and these 2-story franchises going head-to-head, having that 3-0 lead, what would it mean today to sweep?
It would be historic for our franchise to win another World Series. certainly against a great organization as the Yankees. Just excited for our players, our fans. But, it's like I said, I believe in this group. I love this group, and we've got to keep playing good baseball.
And then just some minor change to the bottom half of the lineup with Kike moving up. What was the thought process there?
I just feel that I like Kike against Heel. He's obviously taken really good at bats, and so just kind of flip-flopping those two, I felt good about it.
Up front on your left, Dave, Kirsten.
With Ben Kasparius, I know you've talked just a lot about him and not knowing too much early in the year, and obviously the impact he has made since being called up. But for him to be in a position in the World Series starting this game, what have you learned about him in the postseason and how he's just handled this stage?
I think Ben's handled it really well. He's a good kid. He's a good competitor, raised well, Connecticut kid. I just think that the guys have done a great job of embracing him and making him feel accepted. And so I like the variance play as far as those guys don't know much about him. He's got good stuff, and I just think he's going to perform well. He's not going to get too overwhelmed. It's a great opportunity, something he'll remember forever. But I've sort of left him alone because I don't need to add to his, as Jim asked, anxiety. He might have a little anxiety. But, yeah.
We'll stay right there.
Hi, Dave. 27 outs from winning a world title. Your guys' mantra all season long has been just the next game. Has it been difficult, though, to preach just the next game when the 27 outs are the whole thing?
Well, it's this game is what I preach. And so that's still in line with our mantra, our messaging. And no one's thinking about potential tomorrow. We're thinking about tonight's game and getting, as you said, 27 outs. So I feel good about the focus, and we're focused on playing good baseball. I mean, like I said last night, there's some things that we need to do better and clean up, and I think that they'll be cleaned up tonight.
Up front to your right.
Dave, I know you save speeches or messages for certain moments. Did you feel the need to send one to the team today?
No, I didn't. I left those guys. They're doing just fine by themselves right now.
Good. Tyler in the second row.
Dave, how have you seen the Dodgers evolve since you've been here? I mean, they've always been good, but how have things changed? I remember years when there was a lot of platoons, and now it's more maybe superstars. But how have you seen things change philosophically in your years here?
Yeah, well, I think that I was at the beginning part of Andrew's tenure, right? He was there a year or two before me. So I think that it's obviously his influence, his impact on the data, a big kind of support group on R&D. So that's one part of it. I think that early on you have young players not making money. The platoon made sense. Now you've got a guy like Teoscar Hernandez that plays every day. I just think collectively, I think we all ultimately felt that, to win 11 games in October, having more guys that can be in the lineup consistently gives you a better chance versus, in a vacuum of platoon. But I will say in 2020, I think we had 3 platoons and it worked out pretty well for us. So it's kind of evolved, and you never nail it, but I think every year is different. But, it also helps when you got 3 of the best players on the planet on your team too.
We'll stay there with Pete.
Dave, how many times have you tried to figure out how to unlock playoff Kike during the regular season? And
yeah, I've tried and failed many times over. I'm just resolved to playoff Kike. But you know what? He works hard. He's a good teammate. I just think that there's more in there in the regular season, but there's just not many that perform like he does in the postseason.
is it just the atmosphere, what's at stake? Is that what gets him going?
I think all of it like that. I think Walker spoke to it too. He just gets up for the postseason, where that's just how some guys are wired. But that's better than running from it,
We got Bradford in the fourth row on your left.
Dave, with so much focus on the stars on your roster, understandably, when you look at how your team has been able to navigate through all of the injuries to get to the point you are now. How much of that is a testament to the way the organization always works the entire 40-man roster and not just focused on that top part?
It's that's what it is. I think that obviously we have a culture here at the big league level, but the scouting and player development, I just think is second to none. And who would have thought that Ben Kaspiris or Landon Knack is going to be pitching in Game 4 of the World Series at Yankee Stadium. You get a guy like Honeywell off waivers, and some of these young players, and obviously the deadline acquisitions we made have been enormous with those three guys. And so tapping into the depth, you never foresee a season like we've gone through, but we still got guys that are upright and that are still talented, and we've taken a hit. So it's an organizational kind of thing. But yeah, the front office, Andrew's brilliant.
Next row, Bob.
And Dave, looking back with this entire regular season, how much you think just playing in the National League West, with the National League West being so strong this year, has helped you guys through the postseason?
It's helped us a lot. I still believe Arizona, the Padres are two of the better teams in all of baseball, and we got to see a lot of them. And having to go through the Padres in that DS was just kind of a grind. And so I certainly felt it prepared us for the rest of this postseason. Absolutely.
We'll stay back there with Sam. Next to you, Bob.
Hi, Dave. How's Ohtani doing? Have you checked in him?
I haven't seen Shohei, so I'm assuming he's fine. Yeah.
Go to Anthony.
No news is good news.
Go to Anthony, third row, and
Hey,
right.
You guys obviously have a very star-oriented lineup, and star-oriented lineups tend to be power-oriented lineups. How hard, difficult, special is it to have a lineup that has so much power, but also, can go first to third, catch the ball, just fundamentally sound?
It's everything. I think that that's the kind of the separator, I think, with our ball players. I talk a lot about talent and also intelligence. And I say intelligence because you still have to value swinging at strikes and taking balls, and the value of taking a walk if given to you. And so our guys can slug, but they can do that. And, Freddie on one leg to be able to go first to third to create a situational opportunity. Teo to then get better at his defense and value defense. And he can even argue more than his hitting right now. And so those things are huge. Mookie gets down 2 strikes yesterday and finds a way to fist a ball or cue a ball to right field, and Tommy gets a great break on the ball to score without a throw. So those things, I think, are separated for our ball club. Yeah.
Go to Jack right behind you, Anthony.
Hey, Dave, just, by virtue of winning the first 3 games, you've obviously had to use your bullpen going into this bullpen game a little more than the last couple rounds. Like, does that mean, like, with Ben and maybe Landon, you might need a little more length out of them in this one than
Absolutely.
some of the past?
Absolutely. Everyone's available tonight, but it's kind of be up to me depending on the game score, where they're at with their starting pitcher, where they're at with their pen, when I decide to deploy other guys. Because every guy I use will be with the cost going forward, so I better make certain that it's in the right spot. So to your question, Jack, yeah, we're going to need some length out of those 2 guys. And what that means, I'm not sure what that means exactly, so we're going to all watch together.
And then was Trinan okay last night? Were you just kind of staying away from him?
Staying away from him. He wasn't down. No one's going to be down in the World Series. But I was clearly staying away from him. But if we didn't get Glaber right there, he was going to get Soto.
Go to Juan, then Fabian.
The great Jack Harris asked my question already.
Somewhat great minds think alike.
Dave, as you guys were kind of going around the trade deadline and sort of talking through ideas, like when did sort of the magnitude of getting Tommy and getting Kopech in the same trade and also getting Flaherty sort of come up, and obviously how impactful has having them been for you guys this October?
It's been obviously hugely impactful. Given where we were at with starting pitching, it was a priority. And so Jack is a local guy. We knew a lot about the makeup. And so we just felt that we're all grateful that it kind of came to pass. Tommy is somebody that I think that we've coveted for years, and just kind of being that guy that can kind of do anything, the versatile player, the bat to ball, the heady player, was certainly something that we're very excited that could happen. And then speaking about the pen, just having a neutral guy with power, he's just different than what we have, was something that we just felt that, if we could acquire a guy like Kopech, we just felt that there was some low-hanging fruit that in our environment that we could get him to be even better. And so everything's been to the 100th percentile, and that's all the front office. And I just, I don't know where we'd be without those guys, because those three guys are huge.
You guys have had quiet deadlines. You guys have had like where you get the Yu Darvishes of the world at the deadline. Is this supposed like cohesive group that you guys have been able to add impactful wise in terms of October and what they were all each individually able to bring?
Yes, yeah, and I think that I appreciate being in the clubhouse as far as you're not doing something just to do something and discounting what we have as far as the culture. Everything that we did at the deadline made sense. It really made sense. And so I think that with that, the players responded the way they should have and accepted all three of those players.
Second row on your left, Dave.
Before I ask my question, I don't know if you heard, but UCLA is getting its ballpark back.
Oh,
for
wow.
the next year, yeah.
That's great.
The judge approved it through July 4th of 25, so they can play there this year.
Thanks for sharing, Jim. That's great news. Good for the kids. That's great.
If you had to boil down your philosophy on dealing with players and running a clubhouse and what have you, I mean, how does that work? How do you handle that?
Oh gosh, Jim. I think it's individual based. I think that I just try to be sensitive to kind of where they're at in the moment personally. Trying to get the best out of them, right? I communicate with each guy differently. And so there's a lot of conversations, but I think the ultimate goal has got to be about our ball club. And so I just try to make it about them, not about me and about the Dodgers. But yeah, we have a lot of hard conversations, fun conversations. That's probably the crux.
Do those conversations change at all at this time of year when you get to the postseason?
Yeah, they do, because I feel some players are in a good place. Some players I think I need more out of. Some people are starting to feel a little bit of the anxiety. And so some people might need a little bit of reassurance, encouragement. So yeah, I think so, yeah.
Go far back on your right, Dave.
Dave, I'll piggyback off of that tiny bit. Back here in this series in June at Yankee Stadium, Aaron Judge absolutely torched you guys, even though you did win that series. He hasn't looked like the same guy in this series or even in the postseason. Why do you think that is? Is it simple as the way you guys are attacking him?
I'm not sure, Michael. He's a great player. We're making some good pitches, and hope he takes another offer. But he's a great player. I have so much respect for Aaron, and there's probably a little bit of maybe trying too hard right now.
Abby on your right, Dave.
What has Freddie Freeman brought to the clubhouse culture in his few years with you guys?
He's brought the desire, he's got gratitude, the desire to play every day, to know that this is a job and your job is to play, and you've got to maximize your value, and that's by playing. He's tough. He's about the team. He's if I had one player, I think everyone, I've said it before, it's like if you all encompassing, he's my favorite player to be around as far as what he does for the culture, the organization, the team.
Just what is it about the Dodgers culture that allows some of these superstars to integrate? It's not, there's some locker rooms where having 3, 4, 5 superstars like that might not work, but it seems to work for you guys, and it has worked for you guys in the past. What is it about the Dodgers culture?
It's about getting the right players, the right people. Talent is a lot, but it's not everything. You got to still kind of be cohesive. And so I just think that we do a really good job of getting the right players in our clubhouse.
And we'll finish with Barry up front.
Just an extension on the Freddie to add Mookie to this.
Yep, Mookie's on my Mount Rushmore as well.
I'm sure. I mean, it would seem to me that the acquisition of those guys and the fact that one was a trade and sign, the other was a sign, had more impact on not only your team, but on Major League Baseball in general than anything else. I mean, both Boston and Atlanta really haven't been the same teams since they didn't re-sign those players. So basically, it's all shifted to you. What's your thinking about the impact those guys have had on everything you've done?
Yeah, well, I think that you don't commit to players like that if you don't feel that they can make people around them better, make the organization better for the future, for the present and the future. And so that was the bet with both those players, and we certainly have been the beneficiaries. And, you know, the impact that Freddie has had on our young players in the system and guys that watch him every day, what Mookie's had on our guys, and a guy that can go from right field to second base to right field to shortstop to back to right field, all that stuff matters. And so that's sort of the commitment, the bet when you commit to guys for a long time.
And then when you look at upper management here and what Guggenheim and Mark and those people do for this, I mean, you're not talking about teams like Boston and Atlanta that couldn't have afforded to keep those players. What is it about your organization that keeps adding these guys to try and make this team better?
Well, Mark is very competitive. I know Andrew is very competitive. Us on the field are very competitive. So I think that, you know, with that, they're going to do everything they can to give us the best ball club we can to win a championship every year. And, you know, in my 9 years, they've done that.